Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be demonstrating how I make sesame vegan halva. From my understanding, this is a dessert that originated from the Middle East, but I have no idea if I'm making it authentic, but I know it's delicious, and I wanted to share the recipe with you. Originally I found this recipe on All Recipes, and I'll include the link in the description box below. I've changed the measurements, and I'll include the measurements that I use in the description box as well. I just adjusted it to my taste. What I really love about these halva is that they don't call for any refined oil or refined sugar. The fatty component comes from toasted sesame and toasted walnut, and the sweet component comes from date. It's really quite delicious and easy to whip up. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel, so if you enjoy this video, please subscribe, like, and comment. I would love to hear from you guys. And without further ado, let's get into the recipe. Really quickly, I'd like to go over the ingredients. I have about half a cup of finely chopped deglet dates. Because these dates aren't that sweet, I like to add some water and soften them up in the microwave for about a minute. And so I have a third of a cup of water. I have a couple tablespoons of cocoa powder. I like to use non-Dutch refined cocoa powder because I heard the Dutch refined cocoa is less nutritious. Here is the sesame powder. This is toasted sesame powder. And all I simply do is I toast some sesames in a large pan. Here I have some toasted walnuts. And then I use a spice grinder and put them in the spice grinder, and then grind them up, and it creates a powder. I also use this spice grinder for flaxseed, which I consume daily. If you choose to eat flaxseed, make sure it is ground so your body can digest it and process it effectively. In the original recipe, it called for pistachios, but I don't have any, so I am going to be using some walnuts. So I'm going to add the water to the dates and microwave it for a minute or two, and then I will be back. Okay, so now that I've microwaved the dates for about a minute or two, they've softened up and absorbed a lot of that moisture. If you were using medjool dates, you may not need to do this because the dates could very well be nice and juicy, but deglet tend to be a bit drier in my opinion, and I tend to use deglet more for baking or in situations like this than medjool dates, because I really love medjool dates and I eat them on their own or with some whole nuts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the dates to the bowl. And I'm going to add the cocoa and give that a mix to get out some of the lumps before I add the final few ingredients. This recipe does have a chocolatey flavor, but that's not the only component, which I really like. The toasted sesame seed really brings a lovely flavor to this, and I think it's quite unique. I don't really see a ton of recipes, especially desserts, that use toasted sesame. And I added the sesame, and I'm going to give another stir. And the last thing I'm going to add will be the chopped walnuts. I just used a large pan like this to toast the sesame seeds and the walnuts. It's not necessary to do it in the oven. You can do it in the oven if you choose to. I would just toast them on about medium-high and really keep an eye on them because it's very easy for them to burn and they can take on a bitter flavor. So shake the seeds and nuts around so one side isn't on the direct heat too hot. You don't need to add any oil or anything. They toast perfectly just in a dry pan. Okay, so as you can see, this is starting to come together. It's a bit dry, so I'm going to add a bit more water, not too much. That's about, I'd say, a tablespoon. The original recipe doesn't mention anything about soaking the dates or using much water at all. It says a couple splashes, which I find to be really vague. I think it should be done by feel, but if your dates aren't wet enough, it's not going to come together properly. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now I'm going to add the toasted walnuts. I'm going to keep stirring this until it starts to come together, and if it needs more water, I'll add it. And once it's pretty well combined, I'll bring it back and show you the final product. Okay, so I didn't add any more water. I just worked the mixture and it started to come together really lovely, as you can see here. And what I like to use is one of these small ice cream scoops or melon ballers, and just form small balls like this. And they're nice bite-sized treats that you can have as a pick-me-up or something after a meal, but it's quite nutritious. What I love about these is they're not overly sweet at all. They have a sweetness to them. They're definitely a dessert, but there's a bitter component from the cocoa. There's a lovely toasted flavor from the walnuts and the sesame seeds, and I'd say it's quite a sophisticated flavor. I find some desserts to just be one note with just sweetness, and that can be very delicious. But on a normal weekday, if you want to have a treat, this is a really lovely option. So I really hope you guys give it a try, and if you do, please let me know how it goes for you. I would recommend to be really careful with the water content, because it may seem like it's not coming together, but eventually it will. It did for me, so I would make sure that you gradually add water and don't add too much at one time, because I think it could become too moist and result in an issue with the texture for the final product. Alrighty, so I finished forming the balls. I was able to make 15 of these small balls, which is quite a good amount. I'm going to give one a taste and describe a bit for you guys. They're really quite delicious. When I first made these, I thought that the chocolate would be the first flavor to really come through, but it's more of the toasted sesame, which I really love. The chocolate kind of comes through later in the end. The crunch is lovely from the walnuts. It crumbles, but it has a nice moisture. I like to store these in the fridge, but they go pretty quickly because they're so delicious and healthy. That's about it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you.